Hey guys, Christopher McGee, Health and Fitness The Truth, welcome back. In this video, we're gonna go over how to do the barbell lunge. And we'll go over a few different versions of lunges in this video. Okay, let's do it. All right, so let's look at this. Let's just go through the cues right off. So I've got my bar on a ledge that is just under shoulder height for me, as in most things where I'm gonna be standing and using a barbell rack, so that I can come to it, and wherever I'm racking this for a lunge, I could front rack a lunge, I could back rack a lunge, but I wanna be able to stand up and not have to hike my shoulders or come on my toes in order to just clear the ledge of the rack, right? I've got it on my back, we'll just start here. So we went over this in the squat video, hand placement on the bar. I want my back really stable as I'm doing my lunges, and part of that is gonna be bracing my lats to be tight, okay? And not just my lats, but also my rhomboids and my traps, and all that musculature in the back that keeps your shoulders back and down. So in order to do that, I'm gonna pull my hands in tight here. I'm gonna squeeze my elbows in at my side. I want my elbows next to my side and not behind me. Okay, so right here, I'm just pulling my shoulders back and down. So let's say I wanna do a lunge where I step forward. Obviously, I want a little bit more clearance from the rack. And so if I'm stepping forward, I just wanna make sure I get a long stride. And the long stride is important because if it's too narrow a stride, if it's too short a stride, now what's gonna happen is my front knee is going to go dramatically past over the front of my front foot's toe. And that's just putting a lot of pressure in the front knee that your knees won't thank you for later in life. So you want a long stride. And instead of keeping this back leg straight and putting all the bend into this front leg, I wanna think about dropping down my torso in the middle of both of my legs. I wanna come straight down, okay? And back up. That's it. Okay, and then I could alternate legs, right? Straight down, back up. Or I could do, you know, a number on one leg and then the same number on the other leg, whatever it is, that would be fine. If I wanted to do step back lunges, it gets a little bit trickier to make sure your stride is long enough, because now I'm having to lean forward and get the balance necessary on whichever leg my weight is on in order to get back. But again, I want my torso upright through the lunge, and I want my torso coming down in the middle of my legs. There's also pulsing lunges where instead of stepping to the lunge, whether it's forward or behind you, and then coming back to center, or rather bringing both legs back directly under your hips, you can take a stride either in front or behind you, and then just pulse, which is to say, you go down, you come up, you go down, you go up for a certain predetermined number, and then you finish the set, okay? And these are all lunge options. And then of course, returning to the rack is just a simple matter. If you started out facing the rack as you should, of just walking forward till the barbell hits the rack, and you can just drop it onto the ledge. Lunges. Okay, let's just go over a couple of things not to do in the lunge, okay? Oh heck, I'll front rack it this time. Okay, the focus should be on my hips and down, so who cares where the rack is this time. Two things. One, foot placement and toe direction, okay? So, if I step into this lunge, it is important that both feet are pointed forward, perhaps most especially the back foot. The back foot needs to be toes forward, which means your back heel is up off the floor, okay? And you need to be able to have the flexibility in your foot and toes to be able to take that heel up off the floor and hinge through your toes in order to come into the lunge as you ought to. What happens often that I see is people get into this position, and as soon as they get here, they know that their balance is compromised, and so they drop that back heel. And now you're doing yoga, which is great, but this is, right? This yoga pose is not a lunge, and if I try to bend my back knee with my toes at 45 degrees wide or wider, that's just gonna be terrible. And I see people try it, and it's terrible. Yeah, my cameraman's wincing, and rightly so.
It's rough.
It's awful.
It's scary.
And I see people do it, okay? So foot placement, make sure both feet are pointed forward. The other thing is making sure that your legs are properly aligned. So hips, knees to ankles should be on the same plane. So if I step into my lunge, and my knee caves this way in toward my center. That's a weak glute that I don't want to train for my glutes to stay that way, okay? I want my knee straight forward from my hip, okay? As it comes down. And I want my knee straight over my ankle, okay? Bam.
All right, prime movers for any lunge are gonna be glutes and quads. So let's look at origin insertion points for those, and let's look at quads first since Ozai is facing front. So quads have 4 branches, of course, and all 4 of them come down here to the tibial tuberosity as an insertion point. Okay, from outside to in, you have vastus lateralis coming from here as its insertion point, and its origin point coming up here at the greater trochanter. And then rectus femoris, of course, coming to this same insertion point, but coming from up here, right under the front aspect of the iliac crest. On the inside, inserting here at the tibial tuberosity, but coming up just under the lesser trochanter on the medial side, okay, inside of the femur. And then deep to all of those is vastus intermedius, which just originates right off the distal 2/3 of the bone, and you've got the same insertion point. Glutes, of course, are on the back side here, and we know the glutes have their origin point coming from off the sacral area up to the crest of the iliac on the posterior side, and coming from all of that space down and across onto the lateral neck of the femur up here, and that insertion point covering actually quite a bit of distance on the neck of the femur. All right, thanks, Ozai.
Okay guys, thanks for watching. Hit the like button if that was helpful, and share this with anyone you think it could be helpful for, and just make sure you've got those notifications turned on so you know you can stay up to date on all this fitness education that we're pumping out at Health and Fitness The Truth. We'll see you in the next video.